Yo, thanks for the follow, Marty. For the stream, Cosmic. Just promoing, and we will begin in a moment. All right. There we go. So, since last time, I've been working on adding some, let's see, some buttons here that let you, hey, thanks for the follow, Pointy Hat. Pointy Hat Aussie. We've got these buttons that let you collapse the split containers. Am I going to motivate you? Oh yeah, layers. Layers work great. Oh, I did fix the problem with it getting all jittery when you pan around. So that's fixed now. Let's see. Oh, I need to get rid of this. This was just put in here for testing. Let's see. What else do we need to do? I think something that is relatively high priority would be something like our sprite resource, and trying to make it actually have everything that we need. So right now, it does save your layers as well as what the current layer is, whether or not it's hidden. Let's say make 3 layers. Can we save that? that. Then we go over here and we load it. That should work. Right now, it seems like it is not correctly selecting the layer again. Yeah, so let's fix that. That is all related to saving and loading stuff. So that would be probably in layers, I believe. And then we have the current layer index. And then the other place that we need to look for this is down here, where we actually manage the buttons that correspond to the layers. And so for that, we want to look at where we actually set the button to be pressed. So there's where we make a new layer. There's also here where we do our connections to different signals. And okay. I think we just need to uncomment this. How much time do I put into this off stream every week? It varies. Sometimes none. Sometimes it's literally all I do the whole week is just what I do on stream, and sometimes, like this past week, I put a good few hours into it. You know, maybe like 5 or 10 at most, but probably even that's a little bit high of an estimate, to be honest. Yeah, most of the work is actually done on stream. So we're connecting this. It might not work. I think it might not like when I do this, but we can try it. I don't know why I had it commented out before. We should be able to get the correct button from the layer button group. So if we get buttons, and then I assume that's just returning an array. Welcome to the stream, Seagreen. We get the buttons, and then we index into that list. So that's the button we want to modify. And then we are going to set it to be pressed. Alright, and then let's try loading that in. It seemed to do much. Let's see. That did sort of seem like it worked. It did print. But it didn't give the results that we were looking for. Okay. The button reference seems to be at least an actual button. I think. It's kind of confusing syntax. So... what if it's getting unset a different way? Or perhaps the button is somehow, you know, a reference to a button that we already got rid of? I suppose that's possible. So we need a way to kind of make sure we know which button we're dealing with. Let's see if we can find it in here by any chance. It should be in Sprite 2. Which is here, and then we go down to past here. Past here. Let's see, where is it? Looking for layers. Here it is. So it said that this was 216. But we do not see a 216 anywhere here. So that's not great. It's not what you like to see. Let's try loading it in again. And this time I am not seeing another one of these. Okay. So yeah, I think a way to kind of get around this is going to be to go to our layers resource, and we are not going to care about if the current layer actually changed or not. We're just going to always assume that it changed even when the value is the same. And hopefully that will help a bit. Okay, we have... I assume this is new, yeah. We've got button 216, and then we load again. Now we have button 358. And let's see. 492, again, not the buttons that we are expecting. And I'm guessing that somehow what's happening is I am like deleting the buttons and using those deleted button nodes as the reference here somehow. But the question is, how is that actually happening? Alright, so we connected current layer index changed. So we've got that. Maybe this isn't doing quite what we think it should. So we need to the reference for button group. So this is indeed an array of buttons. Perhaps the order is not what we are looking for. Or something like that. We do need to make sure allow unpressed is false. That is the default though. Okay. So let's try printing the list of buttons. Oh, oops. All right, so we load. And now we've got our list of buttons. There's 3 of them, which is correct. This is a little bit confusing why it would work this way. Got 212, again, not in there. Maybe it's because when this gets, like, activated, the buttons have not been updated yet. That makes sense. So this is kind of operating like on old buttons or something. It doesn't make sense why there would be 3 of them though. 216. Yeah, not there. Why would there be... If that were the case. Let's see if we can get at this a different way, maybe. So, if instead we simply go directly to the layer grid, and then we get the nth child, and then we get the child of that would be the layer button. We set it directly that way. Perhaps we'll see some results. Unfortunately, we do not. Let's see. Where's my debug key? Let's just make a new one. Gotta hide those. Okay. Oh, that's why. Well, we'll do this anyway. Alright, so the plan here is to check when he is pressed, basically. So we need to do this in input. If event dot is action pressed, debug key. Then we do that. So now if we load the project and press our debug key. Ah, I see. Okay. What if we do it with the signal? This might be some kind of issue with layer groups. Ooh. Okay. The question now is basically... Oop. How can we do what we're doing but correctly? So that should be the correct indexing. But I believe it still does not work for loaded things. When do we load stuff in? Here. We do it when layers changed. So really we should maybe do this in there. Sprite like the soda pop? Maybe. Could be. No, it's sprite like the image resource used in games. Let's see. If we do it in here, which I don't know that this, is going to work great, but we'll see. If we do it in here, we have to do more or less the same thing. I do wonder also if we did some of this from the button itself. I seem to recall that being a thing. Yeah. Let's see here. Okay. So, interestingly, this did get called. Twice. Let's see, let's clear that and load it again. Still gets pressed twice. 3 times, actually. So maybe that's kind of the issue. Hmm. So it looks like it really should be working, as far as I can tell. So let's do another signal here. So that would be pressed. Or actually toggled. And then we're going to print that, and then also the layer ID. Okay. Truly unprecedented insight right here. I think this is a bit of a hunch. I think what's happening is for some reason it's getting toggled 3 times. And when it gets toggled 3 times, it ends up untoggled. So that seems mostly fine, except that it is not getting this toggled signal at all. which I don't know what that sort of means for us here. Lasagna. That could be good. Not sure what reminded you of that. Oh yes, layers. Layers of noodle and cheese. Sauce. I'm quite happy that I was able to get linear color blending working right. Looks quite good. I'm still confused as to how we are pressing the button real good, but not toggling it. We're just setting button pressed to true. Let's see. It toggles if toggle mode is active. So maybe toggle mode isn't active yet. Let's go back and look at our button here. Ah, right. So we set toggle mode here when we should set it here. That could have an effect. Alright. So let's clear that and then load our sprite. Aha! So anywhere we see true here though means that the button is toggled on. Which is pretty interesting. The other thing would be if... Oh, hey, Tommy. Tommycito. I am working on my pixel art editor. And right now, layers are behaving a little bit funky, specifically when you load a project. It's not able to correctly set the current layer index, although it seems to be doing it now. For some reason, it's actually setting the button to be pressed. So maybe this fixed it, just moving toggle mode to enter tree from ready. Yes, Cosmic? Yeah, I think that fixed it, oddly enough. Yep, thanks for the magical support, Tomasito. You'll be able to move the layer order in the future. How difficult is that? You mean like move the layers around? You don't have to ask, Rexus. You're a big boy. Yeah, so moving the layers, like rearranging them, it's not going to be simple, but it should be compatible with the way that I've done things. So, I mean, we could try doing that now, to be honest. It's just a matter of doing some stuff with drag and drop, which can be a little bit annoying. How am I approaching the layer indexing? So everything is held in special storable resources. That are held, I mean, the way that they're stored right now is a little bit weird, but basically in the root of this scene, you have a sprite resource, and then that has your layers resource, and then that tells you what the current layer index is. So one... Oh, always 0. Why would you ever use anything but 0? The only language that does that is Lua. They use 1-based indexing. I still name the layers starting with 1 though. Starts with layer 1 like that. So yeah, the current layer index is stored here in a resource, and then basically whenever you like press a button here, that's going to modify that resource. Let's see, it might say something here. So switch to layer 1, index 1. And then that is going to go over here, and in our layer manager, which is connected to a signal that tells when that current layer index has changed in the resource. I know it's a little complicated, but when that resource is changed, the layer manager gets a signal, and then it will move around the layer writer to be on the correct layer. So that way, when you write on this layer, it's actually associated with that layer. And then, in terms of, like how do you make sure, this layer's on top of that one, Godot pretty much handles that. That is just based on the order of nodes in the tree. Chill, Rexes. Come on now. One based is for counting things, which is why it's layer 1, because there's one layer. But zero-based indexing is useful for things that are, you know, a natural fit in programming, like arrays, because of the underlying math. It would actually be more complicated if you used one-based indexing. So that's why programmers use zero-based indexing. Yeah, of course, Tommy. You're welcome. All right, let's see. Where are we at here? We moved this into here, which is good. We can remove this print statement. Then hey, yeah, of course. Thanks for stopping by. I'll let you know. It'll be in the channel when things are ready. I believe you're also in the Discord already, so I will definitely be announcing it there. Let me put a link to that for anybody who happens to not be in the Discord already. Just give me a second. Alright, bye. Here's that link for anybody who wants it. So we can load in now, and it correctly selects the top layer. So that's good. Let's see what else we need here. We were talking about possibly switching layers around, like rearranging them. That would be something we could do. There's also, we're not going to worry right now about doing like a timeline. We'll probably do layer locking, but we don't need to do that right away. Yeah, let's go ahead and at least start to implement layer rearranging. just go ahead and do this. That'll work. Okay, whatever. Let's do it. We need to use the drag and drop functions. So it's going to be, yeah, these get drag data and drop data. We might do drop data on the parent. So, like on the layer panel rather than on individual layers, because I want it to be able to like sort of drop between other layers as opposed to on top. So let's start by doing get drag data. Also, how did so I did this before for emptyable tab container. Ah, that's right. We also need to implement can drop data. Let's just copy this real quick. So actually this would be, since this is the drag data for the individual layers. Am I playing around with C#? As in, like, have I used C# for Godot? No. That's not my usual MO. I have used C# before, but this is GD script. I find that GD script is generally better suited to doing things in Godot. Some of that is just because it was specifically made for and alongside the engine. Let's see. So if we don't really need this, because this is for where we're dropping the data, then my question is, how do we know if we can drag something? Maybe if we go to the documentation for this. Let's see. So get drag data. Okay, returns null if there's no data to drag. Drag may be forced with forced drag. Okay. It looks like I had it right the first time. So basically, get drag data, but it has to return something that's not null. If I remember right, typically these work with dictionaries, but it could be whatever. Yeah. Hey, Boylan. Welcome. Get drag data is... It's a little bit weird. But it is fairly simple, all things considered. Okay, so we need type. Okay. Progress. And then in our layer panel, we need to implement these. So we've got this. We're going to we probably do need to set something related to this, possibly. For now, we're going to ignore that. Type equals layer. So here we'll say from ID and get the ID, layer ID, so. Huh. Why does it think that that is a node? Because I used get node, that's why. Okay. So now we don't need this. In fact, we don't need this either, really. It should just be true. And then for dropping data, we should look here, and we have a position, as well as our data. I'm not quite sure if let's see, get tap control data. I'm not quite sure if the so this should be able to drop data, like it should just kind of know how to do that. It's working a little different from how a sprite does it. I'm not sure if there's a way to mimic that or not. I don't know, probably, maybe, possibly. We're not going to worry about that too much. Might have to implement our own version of this, which would kind of suck, but what are you going to do? For now, we're just going to use this, though, and to do this, we want to, let's see, we need to somehow figure out from the position what the target layer is, basically. So I'm pretty sure there's kind of a way to do this. There's something that's like that lets you tell like the position relative to like a node or something. I don't know, to be honest. Let's see. what would we even search for that with? Maybe like be part of canvas item, I suppose. It's either this or in control. Hmm. Okay, so we've got as point. That's kind of related to what I'm talking about. Well, that's interesting. Set drag forwarding. Sets the given callables to be used instead of the control's own drag and drop virtual methods. If callable is empty, its respective virtual method is used as normal. Interesting. Set drag preview, probably useful. What I'm thinking right now is we need to see the sizing on some of this. Because if we can understand that, it is going to help us for figuring out where our layer needs to go. So it would be the layer grid. I have an idea. I don't know if it's the kind of idea that is going to work quite well or not quite well, but we shall see. So here's the idea. First, we go ahead and move this into the layer grid. Because it makes more sense here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this position let's check this real quick. I believe this is local coordinates. Yeah, local to this control. We're going to take that and we're going to take its Y component and we're going to divide that by the height of the layer grid. So that's going to be size.y. And we're going to consider that basically to be the correct button to use. We need to also multiply that by the number of children. Get child count And then let's round it. Alright, and now here comes the interesting part. We're going to... Well, first let's give this a name. Target ID. And then... Now, we need to access our sprite resource. And then we're going to use a new function that we have yet to make. We're going to call it move layer. We're going to move it from the from ID to the target ID. And so the way we're going to do that is like so. First, well, maybe there's a way to do it directly on the array. But I kind of think not. We can just pop at the from index and then insert at the to index. That's kind of bad for a specific reason. I think it'll be fine. We may need to adjust, so it's going to be insert at the to index, plus or minus 1. That's the question. Is it plus or minus 1? I believe it is minus 1. Because we just popped. Alright, let's give it a shot. Actually, we need to also emit changed here. Okay. Kind of works. The issue here is that it doesn't work if it's over a button. So we kind of need to make it ignore those when we're dragging. I don't know how to do that. But other than that, it kind of works. Sorta. Kinda, sorta. Kinda, sorta weirdly. I think we also need to invert compared to our layer ID, so that's going to be here. It's going to be one minus that. Yeah. So if we move forward here, it goes there, which is not quite right. Let's try flooring or ceiling. That's not right. Let's try floor. Well, that's certainly not right. Although it's right sometimes. Oh, and that was horrendous. Getting all kinds of errors. Yeah, no, I think this is right. Ish. Right-ish. Right sometimes. Might need some tweaking. See, why doesn't that result in... So, like, this should result in 2 at the bottom, and then 3. But it doesn't. I don't quite understand that. So that seems to work. Remove this here. Not really. Not in a way that is consistent. So we have some odd moving of layers. But it does essentially work. I'm pretty sure this should all work for the underlying stuff as well. So like, if we draw on layer 1 here. Yeah, get drag data. So if we move this to here, so that's layer 1. Interestingly, it does not switch the layer index, current layer index correctly. We move this here. It just kind of still is incorrect. So that's interesting. For that, we need to go back to our layer button and see what we're doing for some of that. We're looking for you know, good old stuff. Specifically, we need to look at the stuff we were looking at before, which is going to be, I think, in the layer panel. Or in the layer button. Maybe in like enter tree. As we move to toggle mode here. Here's where we set the button to be pressed. It's equal to the current layer index. That's cool. I think oddly, the issue here is that we're using the same resource. This would like normally be a good thing, but it's a bad thing here because of the way that it is. So we have the button, and it has the resource that is connected to, you know, a particular layer data, right? And it's somewhere in the array that we have for that. And when we move stuff around, the current layer index right? That is based on the position within that tree, not just on, you know, the how do you say it? Not just on the not just on the resource. So, that being said, in order to move it around, one way to do it would be from within move layer, since we do have the current layer index here. What we could do is we move it, then we say let's check something real quick. We say let's move this to here, that's going to be that. If somehow we were on a different layer, so let's say, let's put things back how they were, and then let's say we've selected layer 2, but really we're moving layer 1 to be above layer 2, right? We should still like have this layer be selected. And so that's kind of true, you know, of whatever. So if we had layer 2 selected here, and we said yeah, layer 2 is what's selected. Let's move 3 down to the bottom, so it's below 2. So it's going to move up 1. And if we move a layer from below 2 to above 2, it's going to go down by 1. So let's do that real quick. The way we would say that in code is if the from index is less than the current index, and the to index is greater than the current layer index, and then the other case is if the from index greater and the to index is less. And if it's, you know, if it's equal, that'll be another case. But I think, you know, for the to index, it doesn't really matter that much whether it's equal. So we should probably do that. Maybe. Possibly. I don't know, I'll figure that out in a second. First, let's write this part here, which is going to be... so the from index is less, the to index is greater, so it's going to be current layer index equals 1. So here it's going to be the other way around, so it's going to be plus equals 1. And then finally, we need to consider if the from index is equal to the current layer index, because in that case, we need to set the current layer index to the to index. And then that should work. These we're not going to probably run into at all here, because when we click, it'll automatically, be the current layer, so it's fine. But you might run into them at some point if we call this move layer function from code somewhere. So it's good to know. Interesting. So we have layer 1. I'm going to move it up here. And we're going to have all kinds of errors, I guess. Okay. That's not what I was expecting or hoping for. Let's remove that. That could help a bit. That little edge case there. It's interesting. So that kind of works. But it works in a way that is relatively undesirable. It is interesting that you can reach these cases without doing it for code. I'm still not sure why this works the way that it does, which is to say it doesn't work. So this is layer 2. We move up here. Now we're on layer 9 for some reason. Why is that? Couldn't tell you. It's like the layer above. So if we take that into consideration, Perhaps we should set it to -1, which is weirdly sort of consistent with what we did up here. I'm not sure if that's related. It doesn't seem like it should be. Okay, so that works. We're now at least able to keep the same actual layer selected. And we can move things. We could sort of move things above and below it. But if we do that here, that works. Do that here. Okay, that works. I think that was just a little user error on my part. Because sometimes they, oh, that's not right. That's not right at all. It's switching what layer it is. It's definitely kind of part of this, but really it's mostly, I believe, an issue with determining which button it is. We can ignore that for now. Alright, good night, Cosmic. Of course. Always happy to bring the vibes to the function. Let's see. Yeah. Where did I do that? It was in layer panel. I thought it was here. Clearly I was mistaken. Oh, that's right, it's in layer grid. Yeah, we already have the fix me there. I'll probably fix that off stream. It is getting a little late. We could maybe do something else. Yeah, see. Alright, I think I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream here. So have a good one, guys. I'll be raiding Randy. Oh, nope, Randy's raid's off. Okay, I will be raiding Nandre. Nandre's playing Slay the Spire. So see you there.